What we
Yeah,
could
true.
do though is we could talk about what we think's coming in season 7, which I
Which is
think,
April.
yeah, April. We finally got a date on that.
Yay!
So while you're picking through that, I guess we could talk about what we think we're gonna see in that. What we
Let's.
hope to see, what we want to see, what might be, what might not be. That seems like a decent topic to say. And we don't really need any
Oh,
notes on it.
yeah. Well, one thing I heard was just nothing to the show, but I guess I heard there's not going to be. Oh, one moment. Just had a message. Is I don't think there's going to be any Equestria Girl movies this year.
I haven't heard either way on that, but I know I think we've got the big movie is coming this year. Or is that next year?
This year in October.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, October. I know it was a long way off, so they had time to plan it and really make the animation superb. But that I'm looking forward to. I'm wondering. This is where we're also getting into the thought of, are we getting close to the ending of Generation 4? Uh,
Eh,
are we, because at some point, it's going to last. This show is going, on the other hand, this show is going to last as long as toy sales last. If toy sales stay up, the show will, they'll keep making more episodes. We
oh
know we're
yeah.
getting a season 7. Season 8 hasn't been promised to us, but if season 7 goes well, you know, what we're gonna see, that we could also expand this conversation to talk about the movie as well. What's that going to be? Because you know this next season's going to be interesting in that we've got. I mean, where do we grow? Okay, these seasons, they don't necessarily everything has to be about growth, and but where do the main characters go? Because each of them has completed an arc. Now, they could start new arcs and whatnot, but all the ones that
True. Yeah.
had an aspiration have achieved it for the most part. Twilight wanted to understand friendship magic. She's the princess of friendship. You know,
Bow down to me, bitches.
Rarity, she wanted to open her boutique. She's done that. Again and again. Um, she's got one in Canterlot. She's got one in Manhattan. She's got her Ponyville Central branch. She's got her empire is building. There's not really that dream check. She's achieved all of her fashion dreams. So what is she going to do with what are we going to do with her then? Dash is a wonderbolt. She's achieved her
Yeah, go
dream.
Dash.
Uh, let's see. Fluttershy never really had too much of an aspiration. She didn't really have much in the way of that. She was pretty much content. She found it was like Applejack. She did pretty much had what they wanted. Pinky only has really she has some aspiration, but it's really not a big one, and it's not like, oh my goodness, I've got to achieve this now. And it's kind of being that. Is it Pinky Pride, the one with cheese sandwich? She kind of. It seems like she wants to be kind of known, to be respected as the party, the super party planner. But she's kind of already achieved that within Ponyville, and I think that's kind of what she wanted. I don't think she's got the same kind of Equestria wide aspirations that you see in like Dash or Rarity. She just kind of wants to be. She wants to have fun. She wants to spread joy. She wants to be, a super party planner. She wants to be respected for what she does, be known and loved for her parties and for her. And it's really not a
Yeah.
big aspiration. And I think for the most part, she's already achieved the you know the the famousness she wants. So her arc is pretty much done in that way. And we really haven't set up any new arcs. I mean, you can kind of go back to Dash with, you know, more kind of Wonderbolt stories. We could have more Wonderbolt stories, but you know, that's an opening that hasn't been explored completely. That's a well that hasn't been quite drilled out. But you can only do maybe one of those a season. Otherwise, you're going to give the viewer some Wonderbolt fatigue. Um,
Hmm.
one or two a season at most, because you're just going to give people fatigue otherwise. Um, so the only two characters that really have a lot of growth potential or have an open arc right now is Glim Glam and the CMC. Now, they did complete their
Glim
arc.
glim.
Um, they did CMC did complete their arc, and to an extent, Glimmer kind of completed her redemption arc. But what do you do with Glimmer from here? What does she do?
Just turn her into a background pony.
Well, I mean, for some of the series, she didn't appear in all the episodes that were held near Twilight's castle. She was just kind of off screen doing stuff. A lot of times I think the writers just forgot she was there. It's like she's here, she could be doing stuff, but eh, she's not that important.
But well, the thing with Fluttershy is she actually wants to join a nudist colony.
Let's try and keep it PG. Okay.
Oh, come on, they are
Well,
they're already nude.
they're ponies. They normally don't wear clothes. To quote Applejack,
Ooh.
we don't normally wear clothes.
Well, this story has Discord in it. I could totally be Discord.
Let's not, because
Yeah, I thought that would work.
because Doc would kill us.
No, see, I thought Doc would come running and said, no, I'm Discord.
Ah, um, let's see, what else is there? Oh yeah, the CMC they do have a nice opening, but you're only going to be able to get two or three of those sorts of episodes with the new kind of Cutie Mark Crusader ideas, like helping somebody with their Cutie Mark. You can almost certainly only get a handful of episodes out of that a season. So we'll probably get that. Glimmer,
True.
what do you do with Glimmer? I don't know what you do with Glimmer at this point.
And of course, next season we're probably gonna either get a new villain or the return of a villain.
Well, who? Who are they going to return? I guess you could bring back Chrysalis, but that seems a little soon because she's
Yeah, true.
the value of a villain goes up with the rarity at which you see them.
True. I mean, two villains that they could bring back. They could technically try to reform T-Rex.
I don't think so. He was pretty much in. I think he was in the Sombra mode where he is so far gone it isn't going to work. You know.
That reminds me, Sombra might come back.
I don't think so. I don't think they're
'Cause I don't think they literally killed him because that'd be kind of dark for a kid show.
Well, they did explode him. I mean,
True, but he was technically already a spirit, as kind of.
but we saw with the was it season 5 finale that
Uh,
he had a physical form because he went to he you know if they hadn't stopped him he would have assumed a physical form and started
yeah,
taking over, and so he would have had a physical form. So I assume that he has a physical form, and if he has a physical form, you can destroy him. And if you destroy the physical form, he's probably not around anymore.
yeah.
I
And then,
it's
and
a
then you
go ahead.
you do have Discord. He might try being ass.
Well, I think he's got too much of the emotional leash. Fluttershy's got too much of an emotional leash on him at this point, and he's already betrayed them once and seen kind of the error of his ways. So doing it again would feel really rehashed. The real if you okay, let's go down our list of villains. Uh, Nightmare Moon, completely reformed. She's Princess Luna. She's fine. Uh, let's see. We've got the Changelings. All but Chrysalis and maybe a handful of rogue changelings are left out there, and she needs to float for a while before we can bring her back. So it would have to be like in the movie, or it would have to be in a season 8. So for the moment,
Yeah,
she's there, but she's not someone I would worry too much about coming back immediately because they don't think they're going to bring her back immediately. They waited from the beginning of season 2 to season 5 to return Chrysalis. So that took 3 seasons for her to come back. She needs to float for a while. She's out there, she's menacing, but she's been recently defeated. She's going to need time to come back. Maybe season 7 finale. Maybe she comes back in her revenge on um, Glimmer. Maybe. Um,
and but it also depends on if season 7 is going to be the last season.
yeah, if it's going to be the last season, I figure what it's going to end up. If it is going to be the last season, the final episodes will be a big, a big wet sloppy kiss to the fans, and the movie will
Yeah,
be even more so. It'll be
yeah, like
and
answer
it
the important questions of life, like who are Scootaloo's parents?
that is something they could do. That's one thing they can explore is to put the villains, the big bads, because they basically reformed almost every villain except they either destroyed or locked up or reformed every villain they have, aside from Chrysalis, but she was just recently defeated, so she's gonna be a while coming back probably. But that is another path on which they can kind of move forward. Um, is parents that we haven't seen, um, other than Applejacks, because I think that's just a little too sad to do in a kids show. From everything that's been inferred, everything that's kind of been, well, everything not inferred. They implied it, we inferred it, but it seems to be kind of, yeah, you inferred that correctly as to what we implied. They haven't,
Yeah,
come right out and said it, but they're gone. They've passed on. We don't know the things that happened to lead up to that, but it's probably way too sad to have on the show itself. Um,
yeah.
Parent wise, let's see. We'll go down the main six. Twilight, we've seen her parents. We don't know them extremely well, but we've seen them a few times, and they're
Yeah, we
there.
know they exist.
Yeah, we've seen them. We know them to some extent, but not very well. That could be a thing. We could see more parents. Like we could see more of Twilight's parents or something. Especially if there's a big family reunion you know with all of them. Uh, see, Rarity going down the
Seen her
by going down
parents.
by species. We know Rarity's family pretty well.
Yeah.
They're embarrassingly common, you know, but they're good ponies. Um, uh, let's see, Pegasi. Okay, well, Fluttershy. We've seen her parents. I don't think it's been long. It'll have been long enough to bring back her brother. But that's a possibility. I don't think it's been long enough. I think you want to take at least a season off between having somebody come back because there's just so few episodes, so you don't want to retread the same area again a lot that quickly after
True.
you do it. Uh, let's see, Rainbow Dash. We could meet Rainbow Dash's parents at some point. They could come to a Wonderbolt. It'd be really easy to do. Uh, they go to a Wonderbolt's uh, performance, and we see them for the first time. Maybe she has a brother. I think I saw somewhere somebody said that the the stallion you see her standing on in that one little clip of somebody that looks kind of like her, that's not her father, that's like, you know, that maybe that's her brother or something. I don't know. But it looks right for him to be her father, but it could be just a really older brother. But that would be cool if she had an older brother, you know, something she and Fluttershy have in common. But her older brother could be, you know, completely disinterested in flying or something, something kind of diametrically opposed to the way Rainbow Dash is, or
Yeah.
or extremely competitive like Rainbow Dash is. But he's competitive in other ways. He does other things. Um, and meet her parents and it's an interesting, because Fluttershy's were exactly who you'd think they were. They were exactly, sweet, kind, soft spoken, you know, everything you'd expect Fluttershy's parents to be. I'm curious whether they would, play it straight and they would be, you know, older Rainbow Dashes, or are they going to be something kind of different entirely? Is she for all her success, is she kind of the black sheep of the family, the weird one? Well, she's all competitive. Nobody else in the family is really that competitive, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, let's see. Also, speaking of villains, you also remember that next season may not have a Oh, damn it. Um. Shit. I don't know what I'm trying to say. May not have like a character villain, but it may have like a can't think of the word. Like in one season, how the Everfree Forest was a villain.
may have an environmental villain.
Yeah, that. Thank you.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's possible. But yeah, going down the parentage stuff. See, Skulu's parents would be nice at some point. Um, they could do that the same episode. They have Rainbow Dash's parents show up at one of her performances. She brings Skulu and her parents with them, and they meet, and da 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 da. And that would be an interesting thing you could do, or you could do that totally separately, and it's you know there's something like that. Let's see. Now, Earth ponies. We've seen Pinky's family to the nth degree. We know them probably the best of anybody. We've seen the most of them. and uh, Applejack's, well, that's just way too sad. We know her family,
Yeah.
but the rest of the story probably is way too sad to put on a kids show. Um, Otherwise, I can't. Again, yeah, you could have an environmental villain or something. Uh, One thing they've done that I like, but they haven't done well. They've gotten away from it, but they still do some Deus Ex Machina, but they don't have like the MacGuffin Ex Machina uh, with the elements of harmony, and that's well, we just blast it with the elements of harmony, and that's it. Um, but they eventually had they had the rainbow power that they used once, and then it disappeared, and we never saw it
Yeah.
again.
I'm kind of glad on that.
Which means they've had to come up with interesting solutions. For as much as it's hokey and all the way they converted the changelings was an interesting way of playing with it. But it's hokey, yes, but it was still better than just blast it with the elements of harmony sort of thing. At least it was something that kind of made sense to an extent. It was an interesting idea. But yeah, one thing with the movie that I think could be done, um, and it's just kind of well, I figure that we're never going to get Sunset Shimmer back in Equestria. She's fully engrossed in protecting the other side. But
Yeah.
for the movie, for the big My Little Pony, the movie sort of thing, uh, you know, could we see her come back to Equestria as, as an extra ally? And they have to fight some
Yeah.
some big cataclysm is happening. And
Yeah,
they
that's
have
something I
to
wanted to say. So I have a feeling that the movie is actually going to be a crossover between MLP and Equestria Girls. Because if you actually like watch the Equestria Girl movie, like at the end of the things, it shows like mysterious stuff, like the statue gone and all that stuff.
well, the
So
statue
there
was
might,
destroyed in Twilight's kind of rage thing, but it is leaking magic.
yeah. So there might be like a little crossover, like maybe the worlds are colliding or something. I don't know.
Yeah, what I think, um, what they may be even setting up with last season's finale, with season six's finale, is some sort of okay. We're gonna get everybody together. Boom. We're going to bring together Sunset Shimmer, the rest of the main six. Everybody's going to be working together against this calamity, and we may even see, like at the triumphant ceremony sort of thing of we saved the world, yay, sort of thing. We may actually
Yeah,
see Celestia and Sunset Shimmer meet each other again. You know,
yes, and then they then kiss each other. Just go.
um,
"Mwah."
no.
I mean, yeah, just give each other hugs.
Yeah, her student has come back to her. Has though she went astray, she reformed and she's come back as somebody she can be proud of. And to an extent, now Twilight has two students kind of going at the same time, um, in Shimmer and Glimmer. But yeah, there'll be some sort of cataclysmic event, maybe having to do with the leaking of the magic in the at the school from the statue, where the statue was. and it takes the fight between two worlds to get it to fixed. And you know, both sides have to use, or as part of the solution, they have to remove equestrian stuff from the other world. They have to try and sweep the other world for equestrian stuff. And one of the things that kind of is a last, there's still equestrian magic in there, and it's Sunset Shimmer. She has to go back to Equestria because otherwise as as part of a way of she has to sacrifice her time in the other world in order to whatever's destabilizing it. If there's somebody who's exasperating the situation, she's fighting with them, and then she grabs them, and they both jump into the portal. She throws the both of them into the portal, so they end up on the equestrian side, on the pony side, and they're both equestrian to begin with, and so the magic then balances out, and then the worlds stabilize, but then the portal closes, and that's the end of Generation 4. Is in the movie is Sunset Shimmer, while Twilight and the rest of them have been, holding the world stable, have been using all this, ancient magic and, getting everything settled and sealing away old things. And then, the last thing that has to be done is Sunset has to sacrifice her time with her friends on the other side in order to ensure that both worlds are saved. And so Sunset is
Damn.
then on the equestrian side. Again, I'm completely spitballing, but
That. No, that's a sacrifice.
yeah, it would be a big sacrifice, but it would be kind of like her graduation of you are fully reformed, you are good now. You may have caused problems before, you may have been, you may have been problematic in the past, but you've kind of earned your way back to Equestria and to kind of be back under the full, you know, wings of your your mentor. But there's also the thing to think about with that is she's supposed to be essentially what kind of Twilight was to Sunset Shimmer. Not what Twilight was to what Twilight was to Sunset Shimmer. What Twilight is to Sunset to Glimmer, to Starlight Glimmer is what um
Ugh, bless me.
yeah what Shimmer Shimmer Glimmer, what Shimmer is to Saitoi. And there might be another movie in, you know, making Twilight. Maybe that's part of the movie as well, as her, showing her, and part of the kind of balancing of the worlds. You see, Saitoi is, has become, has reached the same kind of um, level as her equestrian counterpart, and so Sunset has finally kind of, she's finished her job as mentor to Twilight, and so by doing so, then she graduates and moves back over to the pony side where she should be, and so then she's she's another agent of Sparkle, because Twilight has a few agents now. Her group has a few agents. She's the main six, and Trixie occasionally, and Discord occasionally when he feels like it. Um, Glimmer, Shimmer, they would both be agents of pupils or teammates of Twilight, and so she would have this kind of network of friends, and you know I'm curious, Because if they're going to end it, if they're going to do something big, which,
Yeah,
which
super big.
yeah, which is hard to do when you've already done time travel, um, you know, alternate realities, you've done all this other stuff, these Elseworld tales. I'm curious as to what 2017 will bring us on that front, like, and what's left in the bag. How can you go bigger? It's really hard to go bigger than what they already have. But the movie needs to be big. It needs to be something on the level of, a cataclysmic, you know, like some of the rips in the fabric between Equestria and in the Equestria girls, kind of the human world and the pony world. The rips are so, there's that Twilight made. Though sunlight, then though Shimmer, you know, healed them.
Yeah,
Maybe they start to crack open again with the extra equestrian magic leaking out of the statue. They start to grow. The little scars start to spread, and you start to see the cataclysmic. That it's got to be kind of cataclysmic. That's how you'd have to go about it. It has to be something big, especially if you want to end Generation 4 to move on to Generation 5, as use the movie as a big ta-da kind of, this is the end of this generation. We're going to move on to Gen 5, and Gen 5 could be, you know it's always been kind of thought, you know well, it's been thought by
yeah,
some that it could be just a continuation of Generation 4. Like, it could be the next generation. You could have, you know, it could be the kids of the main six. You could, it would be mostly about, it would be, 20 years later, and it's, the kids of the main six, and, you'd have those kids being, uh, you know, kind of taking over some of the jobs of their parents, and being friends and whatnot, and you could have all sorts of stuff come out of that, and you could even have cameos from their parents every once in a while. You'd have to keep uh, uh, Ball on board, because you know if Applejack had a daughter, she's going to be on the farm. So she's going to see Applejack a lot. Uh, but then again, she could be an apple that doesn't deal in apples. She could be it'd be really funny if she turned out to be some sort of fashion designer, and so she's studying under Rarity or something, and you don't, or Rarity's often Canterlot, but her daughter and Applejack's daughter, run the Carousel boutique.
true. You know what I really want to see in season 7 though? I want alicorns to be more explained.
That would be
Because,
good. Yeah, go ahead.
well, because, I mean, it seems that alicorns kind of, like, anything really to do with alicorns is, like, really dark. Like, for example, you got the alicorn amulet that turns you evil. And you also have the fact that it seems like any alicorn has a distinctive ability to use dark magic like it was nothing.
Yeah. Um. Let's see. Was I think that was after that, but yeah, we really don't know much about the sisters officially, in the show. I mean, there's lots of like books and that sort of thing, you know, but they're probably a lot of that is soft canon, which is basically consider this canon until we change our minds.
Yeah.
It's like with I play a Star Trek video online video game, so they come up with stories that go further in the history. Well, they're kind of running on soft canon. It's like, okay, this is the story until we're told otherwise.
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah, are things going to change? Probably. Are they going to, and a lot of that, there's no way the writers can read absolutely, and the writers of the episodes can read absolutely everything that all the media that is written and come to some sort of consistent canon that um, that's just that's a lot. There's a lot of reading out there for it. I mean, I guess the
Yeah.
Journal of the Two Sisters is considered basically all you need to know, the main bit of what alicorns are. There's a lot of
Well, that
information
actually,
whatever.
I recently rebought that book.
I've actually never read it, so I don't know what's all in it. But I've heard a lot of
It's
people
good.
reference it when they try and talk about alicorns. It's like the Journal of the Two Sisters is basically the what canon we have on alicorns.
Yeah, um, like the fact that yes, you can be born in Alicorn.
Yeah, that was a weird thing in that episode with Flurry Heart, but
It was like, yeah, because I was like, well, see, because Florihart was the first Alicorn born in Equestria, and I said, I started typing, well, that's because when Luna and Celestia were born, Equestria hadn't existed yet.
yeah, it was kind of the. But yeah, I mean, seeing more episodes. I mean, we've gotten a lot of Luna episodes. We know a lot about Luna. Luna's story is
Yes,
pretty
but
well
Luna's so
fleshed
cute,
out, but
though.
like really early Alicorn history is still a little dark.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to look for like a little Tumblr blog we can do. I've been finding cool ones. The only problem is they don't exactly have in order.
Oh, they don't have a chrono.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, we can just talk and just like shoot the
Oh yeah,
breeze.
no, totally.
Um,
Uh
because we talked for this long about it. I think we
oh
can
yeah.
probably we can space it out for a while if we don't need you know
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, the alicorns. I don't know. Now it'd be interesting to see what the show canon becomes because you know there's plenty. We already have time travel spells and such, so it would be interesting to see um, what the official kind of canon will be with early history of the sisters. That would be an interesting story. Those
Yeah,
two as they were growing up.
I would love that. Like what happened with their parents? Because in the Journal of the Two Sisters, it doesn't really talk about their parents at all.
Yeah, well, I haven't read it, so I'll take your word for it. Um, yeah, if that would be a cool thing to do. I mean, they're they're ancient and they're over a millennia old, so it would be interesting to see history of Equestria from her perspective. Maybe, oh, that would be cool. I had a really cool idea. Okay,
What?
one of the episodes is Twilight is. Okay, so Celestia has decided to finally write a book about the early history of herself and Luna. Just write a book about it so that they can you know, the history will be saved just in case something ever happens to them.
Oh,
The
nice.
the early history of Equestria will be cataloged. Early history of them will be cataloged. And something from her perspective, she would know there she was there, sort of thing. And she's written a full book. She's got a manuscript together. And she sends it to Twilight to look it over. And the entire episode, it could even be a two-parter, is that early story. It's that early history. It's Twilight reading a book. And it goes through all this history from Celestia's perspective. You know, up until from the point where the two were born to the time Luna got kicked to the moon. It,
Cool.
I mean, you know, the tale of Nightmare Moon is well told, but, what about Philly Luna? What was Philly Luna like? What was
Cute,
Philly
adorable,
Celestia like?
fluffy.
What was Sunbutt like before she was Sunbutt? You know, that would be an interesting way of doing an episode. And that would be it would be a great way to have both a Celestia episode. You don't have to deal with time travel, so you don't have to, burn that again and make it look, you know, because the more you do something, the less impressive it is. You know, they've time traveled twice. They have to put that on cooldown a little bit. Otherwise, it's going to be, oh, they're going to time travel again. Oh, they're going to time travel again. This is a way to time travel, but without time traveling. And the funniest bit would be if you could do the book, but you have an unreliable narrator to an extent. Like, you get Celestia's perspective through a narration, but you get but you get to see what actually happened. Like, Luna and I were the best of friends from the moment we were born, and it just shows them fighting, and she's nugging Luna or something, you know, and it's that sort of funny uh, kind of juxtaposition of, you know, I was always regal sort of thing. And, it shows her not being regal in some way or shape or form, you know. And you get this nice juxtaposition of, this very majestic Celestia voice, this very majestic, narration of the history, of, their early history sort of thing. And, you know, juxtaposed against, what actually happened, we get to see. And, but that would be a great way to do a history lesson, fill in a gap that we really don't have a lot of information on in show canon. We don't have that, but that would be a great idea for an episode. She's just reading a book. It's something completely understandable that Twilight would do and Celestia might do. It's like, Celestia and Luna might have she already may have had Luna do it, or she may tell Twilight, I've also sent a copy to Luna, and she's going to look through it too and make sure that, it makes sense. Luna, who was there, who could verify all the information is right, and Twilight to make sure that it's coherent. It's something that every pony would understand,
Yeah, and like Twilight's like, Luna, I have a question. Why did you use all caps? It's Royal Alicorn voice.
Oh, but yeah, I think that would be a really cool idea for an episode. If not, it's a good idea for a fan fiction. Anybody, writers out there listening.
Yes, but you have to pay us $20 for using that idea.
No,
I'm kidding.
you don't. You have to give it to our
That's a good
Patreon.
Yes.
uh,
One of those.
but yeah,
This,
that seems
this,
like that would be a cool episode. I mean, this is just us shooting the breeze, but those are some cool ideas for episodes and movies and whatnot. But obviously there's probably things I'm not taking into account. Things that are, somebody with, everybody's who's looking at their, computer, looking at their wiki, and well, no, that you can't do that because this wouldn't be right because you didn't do this. Or, the Journal of the Two Sisters covers that too well. We can't do that in the show. But I think that would be a really cool thing animated, and it would give us more. I want Celestia to do it because Celestia, and there's a great excuse for her not have done it, not have done it yet, was that she intended to do it when Luna was, while they were balanced. She started to write the book, but once Luna was banished to the moon, she got busy and she just never finished it. Now that Luna's back and Twilight's helping deal with problems, so she has a lot more free time. She's still, with Luna kind of ruling the land, but she has more time now. She's not completely swamped with trying to completely run the country. She has a little time, and has time to write down those memoirs to, do that. But the reason also is for as much as Celestia is a huge part of Twilight's past, we don't really know all that much. We don't really ever see anything from her perspective. We see Luna all the time. We've seen her have several episodes. But Celestia doesn't really get any time. You always see her as,
the damsel in distress.
I'm not saying even the damsel in distress, just kind of the mother figure, the regal, I am majestic, I am, perfect, I am out here, I am exemplar. We rarely get to see that kind of, her drop that kind of, mask, that mask of, I am regal, I must try to be perfect at all times sort of thing. And we never get to see what is she like behind closed doors. I mean, we see it glimpses here and there, like, her inviting Discord to the gala was just because it makes the gala interesting. She's lived so long that she intentionally invites Discord just for funsies. We see her drop it a little bit, like, and at the wedding of Cranky and Matilda, she and Luna have that little spat, which was great. I love that. It, for lack of a better word, humanizes them. It makes them, not this, lofty, otherworldly ponies. Just they're ponies. They bicker like any other siblings. And we get a little window into that every once in a while. We get little snippets of it, but we never really get a full episode of just Celestia. What is she like behind closed doors? What is she like? What is her real personality like? Because yes, she puts on those airs for, I am the princess. I must be as perfect as possible. I must be majestic. I must be kind of detached. I must be royal. But, we never really get to see much past that line. Past that kind of perfection that she puts on. Because nobody's perfect. No pony's perfect. Luna isn't perfect. And she's as close to Celestia as you can get in terms of the lore of Equestria. But to see an imperfect Celestia, is she kind of a... I mean, we get the impact that she's probably a lot more mischievous than we get to see, especially when she was younger. I would hazard to guess that when she was a filly, she was a mischievous little thing.
Yeah, the true reason why Luna got sent to the moon, a practical joke gone wrong.
It went just a little too far. uh,
Ugh.
but no, that just. But yeah, I think she was probably if she didn't have to be perfect, if she could just relax, if she had somebody else taking care of business, and she didn't have to put up the mask of royalty, I think she would be pretty funny. I think she would be a bit mischievous, you know. But I would love to see what she was like as kind of a filly for a second, just what was she like when she was young, and that would be an interesting thing to do for a show. I drag on this, but I think it would be cool. Uh,
No, yeah, it would.
like we can think of other things like okay, so we basically at this point then we've covered family would be interesting in some interesting ways they could do some family stuff. Um, do some history, especially Celestia. That would be cool. Of course, that could also come out in the movie. What are some other ideas you have about episodes for the season?
We could also do another thing with time travel where they don't like go to the past, but somehow Twilight gets sent to the way future where like we see some new kids and stuff from like the main six, but there's like some villain that's threatening to destroy the world.
Yeah, that could be a if the it's hard to do with the big movie. Depends on how they do the big movie, but that could be a way
Yeah.
to do like the last episode of Generation 4 is a time travel episode. It's a where are they now sort of thing, Who married off, who had foals with who, you know, you know, you know, and you could really have some fun with that. Like, you know, you could hit some of the more common ones, the ones they can easily get away with, like, Soren and Rainbow Dash. You could have them be a
Yeah.
couple. That would be pretty easy to get away with. Um, uh, you could have Cheese Sandwich and Pinky. That would be that wouldn't be too out of the ordinary. That would be something very believable. Rarity,
Yeah.
I have no idea who Rarity would be with.
Yeah. I don't really see Rarity being with anybody.
Well, if you're gonna do where are they now? They're probably going to come up with somebody. You know, Trenderhoof or you know, Blue Blood would be funny. Like he gets reformed or something,
Oh my
and and
god.
and so he gets reformed, and he could even have an episode of Blue Blood getting reformed, becoming more of a gentleman, and that would be funny to you know he does that, and he actually becomes a decent stallion, and you know and then that would be a funny way to kind of bring that one together. It would be like, yeah, she married Blue Blood, but he ended up being a lot better pony than he used to be. She had to work on him a lot, but he's actually quite good. Um, let's see. Applejack, there's no telling. There's not really any pony that she's shown any kind of interest in. Um, as much as this is cringe, Twilight and Flash Sentry, I mean, at least set it up. There's no one else that's
True.
kind of set up. And they could have met when she went to the the uh, the castle, or you know, he got assigned as a royal guard to her since she doesn't have any royal guards. Considering she's a royal, that's a little odd. But you know, since there are five alicorns. Four of those alicorns have royal guards surrounding them at all times. One of them doesn't. She does have a dragon, but she doesn't have any guards. And it's like, Caden said, "You know what? I'll send you. I've got a Pegasus that, might be worth sending your way as one of your, to build your guard." And
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, and being the Princess of Love, it's like, yes, I see it. The shipping matrix says this should work. I'm shipping my sister-in-law a boyfriend.
Like, here, YouTube date now.
But I'm the princess of friendship, not princess. I'm the princess of love. Bah.
Yes,
Do as I say. I am the princess of love. Trust me.
But together, we shall become the princess of friends with benefits.
But let's see. That covers the Fluttershy. We don't really have bulk biceps. It's funny.
It's gonna be Discord
or bulk biceps. That would be funny.
That would be funny, actually.
That seems, because he's really macho, but he's also like, he also turns out to be like super gentle and nice, and we have nothing to say that he isn't super gentle and nice when he's not doing those sorts of things. But like, that would be a funny match, just for laughs. I think it would be somebody else, but that would be funny. Just for laughs, that would be funny. It's the same thing as Blue Blood. I don't really see it happening, but it would be funny. Dash, Soren, it's pretty easy. I already talked about the unicorns. Yeah. That would be an interesting kind of last episode is, the next generation. And the last episode is the next generation. And you see a flash forward of Twilight seeing into the future. And you see something that's going to happen, 20 years from now. And so, Spike goes, so she wakes up from the prophetic dream and goes, "Spike, it's 3 a.m. We have preparations to do." For what? Something that'll happen in 20 years. Go back to bed, Twilight.
Yes, just go back to bed, okay? I don't need your craziness, okay? Just
If it's
shut
20
up.
years from now, why don't you wait for another, few hours and then prep for it? But yeah, she would see the next generation kind of doing their thing. And that would be kind of a cool way of kind of ending the series and doing kind of a backdoor pilot for the next generation.
Yeah.
But that's the shipper kind of going in me. But
I ship it. So many good blogs. If only there was a chrono button.
tip to all you blog makers out there: find out how to make a chrono blog button. We're more likely to actually go through your stuff.
I mean, in some cases, we don't mind just going to the last page and going up. The only problem is when people post a shit ton of other stuff that has nothing to do with the actual story.
But yeah, it's helpful. Oh, I think we just about covered every base I can think of. I mean, you'll always get new stuff, new ideas that are coming out of thin air or little slice of life stuff that's good. There's no way I would predict the zombie thing from last season. You know, that was out
That
of left
was
field, but it was funny.
it was funny. I did like that. Oh, yes. And if any of the creators of Tumblr are watching this, here's a word of advice. It's cool that on the mobile app you have it in alphabetical order. Why can't you do that on the desktop? You see, in the mobile app, I can go, okay, it's all in alphabetical order. I can skip to the B's. On the desktop, shit, where's the blog?
I don't use Tumblr much, so I don't know all that you're talking about. I only really use it for this show. I don't have a Tumblr account. Though the Crunchy Monkey Studios does have a Tumblr blog, and we do have open asks. So if you want to submit to that, that's a thing
Yes.
you can do. And if you've gotten this far into it, you might be interested. It's down below in the comments. Not the comments, but
Submit to
the
us.
yes,
Submit to us.
do all the thing. And if you haven't guessed already, this is mostly we're having we're having kind of this discussion because Doc is off doing things, and we don't want to leave you with 2 weeks. If we have to take a week off here and there, okay, but we don't want to take 2 weeks off. So we're throwing you some interesting things just to kind of.
Oh, that reminds me. I had a question. I'm probably gonna ask this again in the chat, so Doc can see it later on. But okay. My question is, come season 7, which is coming in April. I actually don't know the exact date. I just know it's in April.
I don't think it's been revealed. I think it's just been said that the month is set.
Okay, that makes sense.
At least
My
that's all
question
I've
is,
heard.
my question is, when the show comes back, of course, we're gonna be doing the show reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't exactly want to sacrifice one thing for another. So would you mind adding an extra half hour to the stream?
I mean, for to knock off. Uh,
Well, to not like sacrifice fanfic reading or whatever.
well, as it stands, we're already knocking off show reading. So I mean,
Well, I mean, we're gonna.
yeah, I guess
True, actually, true.
show readings aren't going to be a thing for a while, at least until season 7 is over.
Yeah,
Um,
true.
so we're already sacrificing that off. So I think actually, doing it that way is probably okay.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that.
Yeah. That they just gives us something to fill half the spots that chill reading used to take. So now we have an extra half hour for fanfic reading and blogs. Where we used to have just one, like, we already knew the show reading was happening in the second half of the show. Since that's not happening, we have an hour and a half. We can do a fan fiction, a blog, and a fan fiction. Or we can do a really long fan fiction read and then a blog. I mean, those are things we can do. If you have things you want us to do, and you've made it this far into listening to what we have to say, go ahead and leave them in the comments. We're open to suggestions. If there's things you want to do, and we're willing to do them. You know, they're not too out there, but
Yes.
well,
Like
well,
dancing naked on camera.
no, don't even give them the idea. Uh, and if you have fan art of us, please always leave it in the comments. Let us know that you got it. If you like, because I mean you can kind of see what our characters are like on the blog, on the Tumblr blog, but um, and the logo. But if you need references, let us know. we might just drop you some references on uh, what our characters look like. Uh, yeah, I'm not sure what they would want. I mean, if you want us to talk about something other than Pony, like, I don't know, video games or anime or something like that, something nerdy. Um, I don't watch a lot of movies, so, you know, movies might not be a thing that I could do, but, you know, they watch a lot more movies than I do, so they could probably talk about it in better detail. But yeah, if you want us to do other things, we can certainly try and do that. If you have suggestions for videos you'd like to see, you know, what's your favorite blank? You know, favorite episode, favorite pony, that sort of thing. We might even go into detail as to what we think about that. You know, because that could be another thing we do at some point. Is, you know, who's your favorite? Who is best pony? We each take a turn on the stream talking about our favorite pony for 15 minutes, and then I cut it up and make it into a series that we put out that week. That's another thing
I'd
we could do.
say, in short, my favorite main six is, I guess, Ramo Dash. Favorite princess is Luna. Favorite background pony is Applejack. I'm kidding. No, favorite background pony is Octavia.
Well, I mean, yeah, just this would be like when we're all there, and we could even discuss it to a certain extent. But like our favorite ponies, that could be a thing we just do. We do that as an episode. You know, it's just like a 45-minute episode of this is our favorite ponies and why. Um,
I just like the name Octavia.
it is a good name. I like it. Um, I like a lot of the background fandom ideas for ponies, like, you know, Vinyl and Octavia, you know, you know, and Lyra and Bon Bon are, well, I mean, Lyra and Bon Bon and, you know, Scratchtavia actually kind of, those are kind of canon now to a certain extent. I mean, the extent to which fandom has shipped them isn't, but they're at least known to be at least friends, and Octavia and Vinyl to be roommates. So, and given that Lyra ate all of Bon Bon's oatmeal, I would suggest that her oats rather. I would suggest that they probably live together at least. You know, given that it would be really weird to go over to someone's house and eat their food like that, unless you were. It would be more likely if you know to be able to eat something undetected by your roommate, you would have by somebody. It would be a lot easier if you were already in the house. So, you know, roommates make a lot of sense for them. But I like the kind of ideas that people come up with for the kind of the personalities of the the main background ponies.
Oh,
Though there are some variants I don't like.
yeah.
Best Mom Derpy is one of my favorites. One where she's a single mom and she's just really super cool.
Yeah. Oh, so like I don't know if you've been reading, but like the creator of Ask Pun Pony says he might be giving us some stuff that is not on the blog yet.
Yeah, that would be a cool thing to do in advance on that.
Like, yeah.
If you run a blog and you've seen us and you like us and you have a chrono button, shoot us a line. We might just do it, especially if you have suggestions on character voices. It's like I'd like you to I'd like Dex to do this voice for this character, and Doc to do this voice for this character. The voice she uses for this character, use it for this. You know, I mean, we may not honor all of them, but we're definitely open to suggestions because it makes it less work for us to come up with stuff to do. um, though it will
Ugh.
be forever till we finish Pun and Trixie. For the Trixie for the fanfic and Pun for the blog.